And welcome back to European LCS. G2 and Splyce are gearing up for the deciding game in one of the most dramatic series of 2017. I would like to welcome our viewers from North America, where the playoffs will continue later tonight with Team Envy taking on Counterlogic Gaming the moment this series wrapped up. Now we're into game 5. Deficio and I have been casting all night. G2 have side selection. They picked the blue side. And Deficio,
what a surprise!
If people have just joined, give a quick TLDR of the last 4 games.
Of the last 4 games, okay. Wow, that's hard. So, very good early games from Splyce in the first few series we saw, but they couldn't close out the games. They got to late game. Won game 1 because they had a cool Camille Morgana combination. Definitely go back and watch that game if you need to only watch one of them. The last 2 and 3 games, or game 2 and game 3, they couldn't win late game. They had weak compositions, they couldn't finish team fights, they couldn't actually shut down G2. Game 4 they drafted, for the first time, a great composition for just normal scaling that could just slow down early. Game 1 they were active first, didn't have to be in game 4, they could just play super chill. They did, got to late game, and they were looking really good.
And it was a game where Sjokz wasn't there. Both games, Splyce had lost. Sjokz is part of the pick bans, Deficio. G2, by the way, right at the gate, they banned Rakan. After seeing what Mithy did to them in the previous game, I don't blame them.
And this is why the blue side for G2 might end up being the deciding factor here. The fact they can get rid of Rakan, they can first pick Jarvan as well, could be keys towards G2's win. Jarvan so far is 4-0 in this series. Whenever he's been left open and some of these AD carries have been banned, people have locked into Jarvan first, and it's been a very successful pick every single time.
Well, let's see what they finalize. Not expecting that to be much different. What would you then do if you're Splyce?
So the Xayah, once again, becomes a champion you need to look at when there is a Jarvan locked in on the side, and she's the remaining mobility AD carry. The Gragas as well has been quite a power pick that we've seen traded back and forth between these two teams. Sejuani, though, from Trashy was extremely successful, but still, I think the Gragas is such a key pick still. And then again, if you want that mobile AD carry, it's Xayah you're looking for. They do get the Gragas for now. There's still been other AD carries kind of stepping up. We've seen Zven, we've seen Jhin. Mixed success.
Yeah, I mean, Kobbe's Jhin in the previous game worked fantastically.
Right, and Zven in game 1, once she got to 6 items, worked really well. But we get the Xayah for the mobility.
I personally liked it because your prediction was true more than anything else. But the Gragas Xayah, no big surprises there. Cassio has been a very pivotal pick for Perkz, and it is locked in. He's using the snake to kill the snakes, as it were. I've heard that before.
Should we get Orianna here from Sencux against the Cassiopeia in the mid lane? So once again, he has a very strong late game where the Cassiopeia, a little bit like a Corki, sitting there trying to hammer away, really trying to get a lot of hits off, and then you gotta respect that tank that comes in with the shockwave. And if you don't have a flash, you most likely die. If you get to use your flash, you also die.
Well, we'll find out how well Perkz can get the damage done. His Corki in the previous game was so heavily punished by Trashy.
And let's get Sjokz banned again from Splyce. I don't think there's any need for them to give it over to G2, because it's been kind of a fight now about who can get the best late game team fight. And Sjokz is one of those tanks that just makes it so difficult. I did say before that the game 4 was the first time they had a strong late game. Yeah. Do want to correct that. Game 1, of course, they had a fantastic late game as well, but it was more based on this Camille Morgana combination more than anything. Now Splyce is just drafting like a purely, you know, strong team fight.
Game 4 was more the traditional late game, if you will.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
I get you, I get you. All right, so Sjokz off the table. I'm very happy to see that, because that was the pivotal pick for expecting the top lane. Thresh is the reply.
And when I'm seeing this Cassiopeia Ashe now, G2, again, as I said, need to have these long-form team fights where they can try and kill the front line. A support like Taric, in my mind, just goes really high up in value then for Mithy, because it's one of those champions who can actually protect his squishies for long enough that they can kill the enemy tank. And they don't have to walk around the shockwave, you know, as soon as the fight starts. Splyce were kind of thinking the same way. They're looking at Braum to be the guy who stands in front of them and protects them. I want to see if Mithy wants to play this Taric, because I think it could actually be really successful with what they're drafting so far.
Okay, Tahm Kench is the next champion to ban from G2. That closes out phase 2. Splyce need to lock in their top laner and their support. If you don't know Wunder, he does not really like playing tanks. Definitely prefers the bruises, the split pushes. And this Trundle could pivot.
Well, it definitely could go top lane, but here you can definitely play Taric. Like, this is not going to be that bad for you. An issue, though, for Ashe in lane is that Trundle can pillar behind Ashe, and she can't really run away. So it's very easy to set up trades in favor of Kobbe down in the lane, and also to actually coordinate ganks with, like, a Gragas, because you just pillar behind Ashe, and she has to, like, respect that and probably flash away if there's someone else showing up. And we get Elise jungle coming in, so Jarvan will go top lane for him, and it is Alistar support. So Mithy wants to go back to the Alistar, was unsuccessful in game 4.
What does this mean for the Elise, though? Different flavor for G2, less of a hardcore frontline, and maybe moving away from this let's play to late. If Splyce are beating us in the late game, let's not go there.
Yeah, I think G2 are saying, you know what, we can actually get that early advantage. We still have a fine late game setup with Jarvan and Alistar. So with the Elise, we can try and snowball early on and see if there's some advantage to go over to G2. But the Elise pick was not super successful when Trashy played it. A Trick has, as we said actually at the start of the broadcast, been kind of 50-50 on this champion. There have been some good early games and there have been some really bad early games on his Elise. So it's never really been his comfort.
No, it hasn't.
But he needs to do it now in this game here. If you want to have value as an Elise in this meta, it's early game.
And if Splyce can survive the early game or win it, they've got a team composition that scales very well.
Exactly. Like, I was kind of looking at Wunder being like, ooh, is this like a Jax game or something from him? But the way the series have gone is towards the 5-on-5 team fighting. That's why we like the Gnar here. You can still win the side lane split push, and you have Mega Gnar for big fights. So I think this pick is really good for Splyce. And G2, they're gambling with this Elise pick and moving the Jarvan to top lane blind.
Yep.
They are really gambling here with the last few picks, and Trick needs to show us a fantastic performance early on for this Elise to work.
All right, Trick, the pressure is on for G2 Esports to survive the quarterfinals. There's the team compositions. A reminder, the winner here will guarantee themselves a spot in Paris. If G2 lose this game, they will get themselves 20 championship points, be in that regional qualifier. And do you know what, Deficio? As we're loading up into the deciding game, after Silver Scrapes has played, do you know what season it is, Deficio? It's Game of Thrones season. And when it is Game of Thrones season, it does not heed well to be the king. The defending kings of Europe, G2 Esports, their throne is under attack. And Splyce are the team that want to dethrone the defending champions.
Sadly for Splyce, they only have snakes and not dragons, but maybe the snakes will be enough.
If you give the snakes enough time, they can evolve into a dragon. I'm sure it's somewhere in Pokemon, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Not sure how it works, but it's fine. Let's take it, run with it. Splyce, though, this game, are looking at G2's carries and saying, wow, we can kill these guys so easy in team fights. Like, Splyce will actually be very happy with this draft. And Mithy is giving us the cowbell. Normally, he does not do it.
No, he actually made a really big song and dance about how he doesn't really think he should be doing it. And today he is. It's game 5, the first time.
But back to the point here. Trundle pillar, fantastic against champions with no dashes. Gragas, body slam, flash. Mega Gnar engages, Shockwave. Like, there are so many abilities on the side of Splyce that just ruins the day of things like Ashe and Cassiopeia in these fights. If they do not have flash available, they're such easy targets for Splyce. Last game was decided with Splyce finding a great Shockwave on the backline of G2 Esports. They can do the exact same thing in this game, even easier.
And the power of those Trundle pillars is something that Splyce has fallen victim to.
Oh, yeah.
Che from H2K played a support Trundle that almost single-handedly controlled the game. The reason it wasn't single-handedly is because Jankos' Gragas also had barrels that were flawless. And now Splyce have got their hands on the Gragas and Trundle combination. Looking down the summoner spells really quickly. Heal for Perkz, Ignite for Mithy. So I want to see what Mithy can do in this early game, or what sort of mid-game plays he can set up to try and lead G2 to another semi-final.
Mithy likes to be a bit aggressive on the Alistar with the early trades. Could be one of the things he's looking for here, but Splyce actually leashed for Trashy on the blue buff. They're trying to kind of speed him up a little bit so he can get to his red buff as fast as possible, because otherwise there might be an Elise showing up, and that could ruin the day of a Gragas. So Trashy right now is off to a great start where he can actually get to his camps very quickly. he will just do Raptors as well, feeling confident that he's actually fast enough to take down all these camps, and do not fear Trick just yet. This hawk shot from Zven will spot him, flying across the map, seeing the Raptors and the red buff, so they know exactly where Trashy is, and Trick is in the river. The fact that red buff is not started yet by Trashy means there is a chance we get a fight around it. Trashy went for that little greedy play with taking the Raptors first.
Let's see what Trick can do.
He should place a ward though on the Gragas. Gragas should place a ward. Okay.
Right. Trick has warded up the Brambleback, so you can see when that gets started. Trashy skips his red buff and instead goes straight to Krugs. A little bit of a safer route, maybe realizing he's spotted out as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good adaptation from Trashy, meaning he can just secure the camps for himself. And right now he's not expecting Trick to still sit there, and he can go down and take that red buff with his ward in the brush as well to spot if Elise shows up. So it's very important, small things, but it can be key for an Elise to get off like a great early one-on-one invade to start getting ahead in the game, because once you kill the jungler, not only do you get gold, you also know he's not on the map, and you can actually go for a gank right after. But Trashy will be spotted here, taking the red buff.
And I want to see how well this early game plays out, because of course Splyce got advantages in the early game when their team composition favored it. This ward that was placed by Trick earlier, going to spot out Trashy, and it's G2's team composition that has a little bit more of a time limit on it.
Yeah, it really is. I think G2 Esports will not be the stronger late game team in this game here. They will have to rely on using Elise to actually get ahead in the early to mid game and try and use that and use the hard engage from Mithy and expect to keep forcing fights.
Right, let's see if they can surprise Splyce, of course. G2
Perkz.
won games 2 and 3. Perkz taking a lot of damage from this Thunderlord, Sencux, Orianna. Manages to walk straight through the miasma and trading into a low mana Perkz.
Trick is coming around. There is cleanse on Sencux. Really like that choice against the Elise. Right. Might have to use it.
Hiding inside the minion wave. Flash is available.
Ooh.
Sidesteps the cocoon. Whoa. Sidesteps the poison. Trick even takes a tower shot. Great moves by Sencux.
Febiven said on the Analyst that he felt like Sencux has been outperforming Perkz today. Good laning phrase from Sencux. Great team fighting, especially in the last game. What a sick performance on this Orianna. Went 8-0 and something like 7 assists as well. Perkz, I'm feeling a little bit bad for him because there's so much pressure on him every time he plays, because he is a person who likes to talk a lot. He is a person who likes to build up the hype for a game. And when he's then sometimes struggling a little bit, a lot of people will attack him. But this is definitely a team effort from G2 Esports. It's not Perkz being bad. It's actually the entire team just being evenly matched by Splyce.
Yeah, and Splyce proving on an even footing, they actually can win the map plays. They can win the team fights at different times throughout the course of it. Sencux, by the way, his Orianna in previous games, he's really held the trigger on that shockwave. A lot of times I keep expecting to keep waiting to see it, and he delays, he stalls, sometimes too late. But it adds that extra element of doubt if you are G2 Esports. When is Sencux going to do it? Because it's not that obvious or not that readable. And Trick not going to be able to punish Wunder. Wunder shoved the wave, recalled, saves his TP, crucially, and we'll get back in here not losing a whole lot.
Well, he's on his way back. He probably will ward before he goes into lane, so he just walks in and wards.
He's going to get cocooned.
One with Trick here.
Insta-cocoon! Insta-cocoon! Venomous Bite comes down. Wunder's actually going to turn around some damage. I didn't actually think that was going to happen.
The thing is, for Wunder, it's fine if it's just a 1v1 trade he's taking. It's not Jarvan and Elise. Trashy was around as well, so smart play, just walk in and ward first. Then you can go back to your lane.
Trashy's farmed himself up a 300 gold lead, by the way. Cleared out that jungle relatively well, hidden inside.
And more importantly, the Elise early gank, not been successful.
Right.
A lot of the pro players, they always talk about when you play against Elise, if you can avoid dying, you know, to the very first gank she pulls off around level 3, you're off to a great start. Then you can actually start getting proper vision down on the map, and you can track her much easier. It's always hard in the early game to always find where the jungler is and avoid this like potential gank. But now that you can actually see control wards being on the map because you've gone back to base at least once or twice, and you can start getting, you know, better setups where you can find Trick. And now they can ping him out and say, yeah, he's topside, watch out.
Yeah, walk straight over that ward. That was placed. Splyce have got themselves a 600 gold lead already at 7 minutes, just by clearing out mostly the jungle. Kobbe and Mikyx doing a good job shoving Zven and Mithy in as well. That Trundle, the threat of the pillar, is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, knowing Zven, he hates his life right now. He hates the fact he has to play Ashe here. That ulti did not connect onto Sencux.
Yeah, optimistic. Sencux able to turn around.
But back to Zven hating his life. He knows in this game it's not about him. it's going to be really difficult for him to be that main carry he likes to be due to all that CC from Splyce, blocking the Ashe from getting in. If he can land crucial arrows, that's how he can help his team, especially in the mid game. But it will be difficult for him to be that big late game carry.
You can feel the tension in game 5 here. The first BO5 to go all the way. Does Dragonair into Dragonite count as a snake into a dragon?
That's an eel, that's not
a
snake.
Yes, it does. Lol, relinquished. Thank you for proving, and that's what Splyce are trying to do. Evolve into their super form, become a dragon, and take down the defending champions. I mean, it would be a monumental upset for the European LCS if G2 were to not even advance from the quarterfinals.
It's actually hard to kind of imagine it. Coming into the split after that MSI performance, everyone was like, yeah, G2 Esports, they're going to win Europe. Like,
again.
Look how good they are. And of course, they're just going to continue. But then Fnatic showed up big time, knocked G2 down to second place in Group A. That's why G2 are playing this quarterfinal.
Whoa.
Twitter is on Splyce's side, but people love the underdog story.
They do indeed. Kobbe did not fire that Featherstorm early enough.
He was knocked up by Mithy.
To root down Mithy. And that means a good trade, but no summoner spells traded, just ultimate for ultimates.
Trashy around the mid lane. We'll find Expect.
Or the other way around. Expect. Cataclysm downs onto Trashy at the end of the body slam. Flash comes out and Trashy saves his life. Nobody has died yet.
It's tense. It's G2 Esports who's looking to create the plays. Splyce, they're more than happy just scaling. They're like, yeah, guys, let's have a little agreement here. We don't kill each other for another like 15, 20 minutes and we just keep farming. That's great. It's on Trick. And the rest of G2 to force something with the Elise was spotted early on. No successful ganks. Right now, there's no wards on top side except for the two around the mid lane here from Sencux. So there is an easy path towards Wunder and his lane. Trick might be in there now as we don't see the vision. Nope, still doing his grunt.
All right, come on, attack into Perkz. This time around on his Cassiopeia. Gone for that Catalyst and Tia. Not going to go for the mask build, which we saw a couple games ago. Gets donated the blue buff.
Oh, he can still do it.
Oh, yeah. Not first item then to specify.
His problem before was the fact that he didn't get the early tier fast enough. So it slowed him down a little bit. But he's still on track to get his mask. He's going to be fine in the beginning if he wants it.
Yeah.
Trick, though, on this Elise, we'll go back and... yeah. Sucks.
Oh, just short. Just short.
I wonder, though, if Trick actually should have gone into Moby Boots and just said, you know what, I need to gank, and be super active. I didn't do it this early, but top lane, where Wunder is just pushing down, because Trashy shows up on his side every time. He's like, bro, I got you. Go, push, be annoying.
Trashy and Trick have been on the same page as well all series long. They've kind of been responding in the same areas when possibilities have shown up for 2v2s or counter ganks. That's a good sign for Splyce if Trashy continues to play well. He's still outpacing his opposite number in the jungle, plus 400, 500 gold. And
Perkz.
Mithy, right now, he's about to find Mikyx, or the other way around.
Perkz get his magic resistance now. Will just complete that into the Abyssal Mask. Will keep him safe against both the Gragas and the Orianna. Can explain once again, once he actually completes it, why it is a good item for him. Mikyx gets a ward over the wall and... Oh, so I'm just feeling that first gank.
Deficio, where is the first gank going to come from? Where is the first kill in your mind? I know Trick is the one that really wants to make it happen.
So there's Cleanse Orianna in the mid lane, making it harder for Trick to execute the first gank there. Bot lane, you have double CC for G2 Esports. Could be a choice to go straight for Mikyx, see if you can lock him down. Change CC him with Cocoon, arrows, like Alistar combos. That should be a kill onto him. Top lane is, we've seen Trick hover around. You normally really want to snowball your top laner, but because Trashy is always there, always following the Elise, he can't actually execute the gank, so he might have to look elsewhere. He's bot lane now, but he's fairly low. Right. And this Splyce bot lane is pretty defensive.
Yeah, both of them got their flashes up. Featherstorm as well for Kobbe. But here comes Trick, so maybe this is where they're going to look.
Yeah, but you can see how far back Splyce are playing. Whenever they don't have information of where Trick is, they step back. They don't go for any trades they don't have to. They're respecting the fact that Elise needs to snowball. Trick did not find his way into the pit, so he just walks around. That's a cooler way anyway.
As we mentioned a little bit earlier, Splyce on the verge of pulling off one of the biggest upsets in EU LCS playoff history. About 4 weeks ago, they let go of their stage coach, Jeeves. Their manager, Hans, has been on stage with them. At the beginning of the day, we heard one of the hype videos where they said, even without a coach, we know what we got to do. They've had a few weeks of practicing in the dark, and now Splyce, with a scaling team composition, are even at 13 minutes. I think the Chomp stole away the Scuttle, and Splyce looking to really, really upset G2 Esports.
Trick did the only thing he could do, though, as he didn't find any ganks. He just took the Drake, used their push in their lanes to actually secure an important objective, a Mountain Drake, for the potential Baron fights we will get later. When you have a Cassiopeia and Elise, you already have a great Baron comp. Add in a Mountain Drake, and Splyce, they're just sitting a little bit out of position. The Baron can die very quickly, and that can be one of the ways for G2 to close out the game before they go full late. Mikyx and Kobbe right now getting some damage on the bot lane tower, and Abyssal Mask is completed for Perkz.
All right, 1,000 gold is the lead for Splyce. They've just farmed this up across multiple lanes by small advantages. The chip damage on the towers. Wunder is trying to poke down Expect. Kobbe and Mikyx are doing a good job of shutting down Zven and Mithy, or at least keeping them under control.
And you mentioned before how Splyce let their coach go. There is a weird tradition in Europe where when teams get rid of their coaches, they get really good and they start winning. Like,
who else did that?
I mean, Fnatic worked really well for. You remember when Rocket didn't have their head coach on stage for one series, and out of nowhere they just won that series as well. Freddy122 was actually the guy stepping in. Undefeated coach. We have a lot of undefeated coach/managers here in EU LCS.
Right now on the analyst desk, Prolly is shaking in his boots as Febiven looks at him and says, hey buddy, we're in the semifinals.
Oh, we need to win this one.
But more seriously, Splyce, they're very comfortable. They're very happy. Trashy has been famous for a long time for his Gragas play and his impact in the mid to late game. The barrel already gets the flash from Perkz.
I love that play so much because he doesn't want to invest a body slam flash on trying to trade flash for flash with Perkz. So he just throws the ulti knowing Perkz needs to flash this no matter what. So he literally just uses an ulti for a massive summon spell, and he's still saving his body slam flash for a return gank.
Oh, beautiful play from Trashy and Splyce. They get the summoner advantage. Tower first blood as well extends the gold lead. There's some golf claps here in Berlin.
The Elise team lost the first tower, have not executed any ganks, and Splyce's late game is still looking fantastic.
Oh man, look at this, the minion wave dying. Splyce looking to take their second tower. That minion wave will crash into the tower in just a moment. 2 towers to 1. Okay, Rift Herald was picked up by Trick, so this could potentially unlock mid lane if they use it correctly. But it looks like there's going to be a dive onto Sencux. Petrifying Gaze comes out. I don't think it found the stun. Cleanse and Flash is available. Mithy gets chunked down. Forced to use that Unbreakable Will. He's now running for his life. Flash defensively as Wunder arrives, and nobody has died yet.
Still for Splyce, 2 bot lane towers in their favor. Yes, they lost the Drake early, and yes, they lost the Rift Herald, but getting those towers is more than fine for them.
All right, see what happens now. 15.5 minutes in. Splyce are fully grouped up in the mid lane. Expect coming around from the side. Good cocoon onto Sencux. He holds onto the cleanse. Deficio. The tension continues to build here. The pressure is mounting on G2. They're 2,000 gold down. They're losing control of their map, and Splyce already starting to group up.
And they do have the Ashe arrow from Zven. Follow-up engage from Mithy. No flash from him, sadly, but it's still enough to start a fight with Expect as well. If G2 can find one crucial pick, they can still get a lot of objectives after there. A lot of towers right there, right in front of them. Bot lane tower, mid lane tower, a Drake will spawn soon. Like, all these things will be crucial for them to start really snowballing this game. But they need someone from Splyce to actually overextend, to get caught out. And Splyce has been playing so far back in this game. They've been playing so safe that it's not really been any openings for G2 to punish.
Oh man, what a great showing here for Splyce. G2 start to worry, start to panic, maybe. We'll see how well they handle themselves in the next few minutes. There's still the opportunity to find picks. Elise and Ashe and Alistar, so good at that. But I mentioned right at the beginning of the game, Deficio, G2, they can still qualify for Worlds through championship points, even if they crash out now. Only, I believe, Fnatic and Misfits will be able to overtake them. Because, of course, Unicorns of Love have already lost.
I don't even think G2 thinks about Worlds right now. They think about winning another split in Europe.
Yep.
Imagine if you're G2 after winning 3 times in a row, and then Fnatic comes back in and suddenly they look like the favorites to win the whole thing. No, you want to prevent that. They were the ones who stopped Fnatic from winning EU LCS in the first place.
Yep. Took the throne, haven't given it back. And arguably, the fan perception and expectation is that Fnatic will win the split. Fnatic, of course, waiting in the semi-finals. If Splyce win this game, they will in fact face Fnatic. So very, very tough opponents ahead. And you know what? Hell, screw it. If Splyce can take down one king, they can take down another, that's for sure.
I mean, Misfits probably saying the same thing, you know, like, yeah, we can do the same, you know, we want to go all the way to the final. It would be quite unexpected to see Splyce and Misfits make their way in, but at this point, anything can happen in the EU LCS playoffs. This game here, Perkz is trying to hold down the mid lane while G2 are using Zven and Mithy to push a side lane. They need to push that side lane in and then roam towards mid lane if they want to create a play around the mid tier 1 tower, trying to force Sencux away. But this cleanse on Orianna is in the way. They can't just arrow onto Orianna from long range to try and kill her.
I want to see if Splyce, how quickly they can take that tower, because it was a game one where they dilly-dallied around for a very long time.
But Splyce don't have to do anything.
Yep.
They can chill. They're fine. Trick is actually top lane right now as they're split pushing Elise.
Yep, as you do. Not going to work out in his favor. I didn't actually see where the Rift Herald was used.
This might be the fight though for G2. Look, they're coming from the flanks here. Alistar topside, so is Elise. Splyce got the tower and they just instantly disengage. Do not wait around. And now they have their own tower here. Great call from Splyce. Secure Drake and mid lane tower while G2 were busy pushing out top lane.
Oh man, Splyce on the verge of making history. 19 minutes in, no first blood yet, but it is a 2,000 gold lead. Splyce were able to pick up the Ocean Drake, and Kobbe's down. He didn't even get a chance to use his Featherstorm or his Flash.
One of those picks we mentioned with G2 Esports having Elise and Ashe, like they need some of these here to actually get a numbers advantage and maybe try and get down a tower. There's no Drake alive, it's too early for a Baron. But if you get top lane tower, that's at least some gold.
All right, Mithy moves forward, but there's too much threat here from Splyce. Sven's waiting for the minion wave. Mega Gnar, by the way, on Wunder has already propped, so he's going to need to chill out for a little bit before he can Gnar back. Tower number 2 falls in favor of G2, and this game is balancing on a knife's edge.
Important for G2 to get back in the game. Want to keep creating picks like the one we saw just before. We see a replay of the Rift Herald being started.
Interrupted in that.
I was like, hey, we never saw a charge, and now we know why. Sencux, the hero.
Thank you very much, observers. All right, Trick and the rest of G2, they're waiting in the bush. Look, the blue trinket will spot out a control ward.
And still got to respect that pick potential. If you face check this early in the game, you will most likely die. Trashy getting caught out.
All right, Trashy's going to be able to flash away. Body slams to safety. Spin took a lot of damage from Kobbe. Kobbe now uses that flash that he did not use earlier. Teleport coming down for Wunder. Kobbe continues to chase Trick. The Krag's not going to get called in just yet. Good Cocoon comes out. That slows it down. Whoa. On the back end, Sencux is caught. He didn't even use his flash. Expect now trying to disengage. He runs into a Kobbe. Kobbe calls back the feathers. Gnar into the wall. Gets himself a kill on to expect. This is one of these chaotic team fights that we keep seeing. Perkz is being run down by Mikyx. He's already used his petrifying gaze, and Wunder takes out Trick.
So in the end, Splyce still win the fight. Trashy had to run out so early because he was chunked down. Perkz, no flash.
Oh, Perkz is going to be in trouble. No ultimate either. Easy kill here for Splyce.
And man, we are looking at a Splyce upset. They are winning the first few fights in this game. We know how great the late game setup is from these guys. We've seen them beat G2 Esports in the late game twice today already. And now they're winning early on against the Elise on the side of G2 Esports. That fight was supposed to be a pick for G2 onto Trashy. But then Kobbe actually comes in, like, it's a very weird fight where everyone is kind of coming from different angles, but Kobbe gets so much damage on Zven first. They're kind of trading the HP of Zven and Trashy. And now with the re-engage, Kobbe's all alone. He's fighting 1v1. While Sencux will die because he can't actually flash away due to miasma from Perkz, well then Perkz is not really able to join the fight after, because you see here the trade happens, everyone walks away, and the no flash snake can't follow. Perkz get blocked as well by Mikyx, great Trundle pillar, and it actually allows Kobbe to just sit up here with Wunder and take down Mithy as well.
All right.
Trashy. Sorry, Elise. Trashy Elise, just kill the jungler.
I did that earlier, calling Trashy Trick. so associated the players or the champions from the regular season. Wunder, by the way, he's got himself the Frozen Mallet to complement the Black Cleaver. He's already in control of the lane and the side lane. And this is just going to give him even more power. And Splyce look to accelerate this lead and try to shut down G2. Now for G2, in order to come back into this Deficio, it really is all about finding those picks, isn't it? Or trying to catch Splyce unawares.
Yeah, almost at this point, you're looking at G2 trying to force a fight around Baron before it's too late. It does require them to get mid lane control first and actually push Splyce back, but you're sitting against 2-item Orianna who can just instant wave clear. So Splyce is not going to let them do that. They're not going to let G2 set up for Baron and then create this pick where you have no vision, you get hit by Elise Cocoon or Ashe Arrow and you die. No, they're just going to say, you know what, we can control the vision around the Baron area, and that right now looks to be one of the ways for G2 back in the game.
We've heard in the past how when the backs are against the wall, Trick has been one of the voices to pick up the team emotion. Many months ago, Trick now is the man who didn't find an opportunity to have an early game impact because Splyce just had good vision, they had good play, they didn't put themselves in a space where they were going to get countered. And now it's going to be up to Trick and Mithy and maybe even Zven's arrows to try and claw back this game for G2.
Yeah, because you see Splyce do exactly what we mentioned here. Like, they push out mid, they go right back in instead of it. They don't, like, just fully reset. They don't allow G2 to actually get any control. They're now the ones starting the Baron. If they secure this, G2 Esports won't have many ways to defend.
All right, Baron's down to 50%. It's not going the fastest. G2 will be able to contest. Teleport coming down by Expect. He has cancelled it. Ashe Arrow not fired by Zven. Trick is the target. He gets knocked backwards. Repels up, drops back down, not into the wall. Sencux kills Trick. Featherstorm is fired up, but Zven is able to walk to safety. Knock up, flag and drag. Kobbe is caught. He's not dead yet. Finally taken down. But Wunder gets a reply into Expect. It's a 2-for-1. Keep your eye on Zven and Perkz. Perkz is being run down by Sencux. He's down. Now Zven follows. Splyce.
It's happening, Trevor.
For the ace. Mithy's the target. He's trying to delay, trying to interrupt, and Splyce are in the lead.
It's another team fight in favor of Splyce. They were the ones starting the Baron. They saw the TP, they disengaged, took the team fight, and we're just seeing how hard it is for Perkz and Zven to be carries against all that CC on the side of Splyce, and just no mobility on the side of G2. Take a look at the fight here. So TP gets cancelled, and now they no triggers, no flash. So it's a great engage from Trashy, get an early kill on the Elise. Yes, you have to invest an ulti for it, still worth it. Zven, there's nothing he can do. No. First you get pillared, then you flash, then you get exhausted. And he's so far out of the fight that he's not really providing any damage.
It is just clean plays. And of course, Perkz being shut down by Sencux here as well.
Same deal. As soon as Perkz is trying to enter the fight, he needs to constantly watch where he's actually going. There's no freedom for G2 Esports in this game. The composition from Splyce is so good. Game 5, without a real coach, they managed to win the pick and ban phase against G2 Esports.
Oh, such a fantastic turnaround. G2, they committed to the early game gamble that Elise was locked in the second phase of picks, followed by the Alistar, and it has not found any picks. It has not found the opportunity. Now, G2 are still 2,000 gold down, but it's the scaling in favor of Splyce, the tools that they have, that makes this a risky play.
All right, they're calling for the Baron rush right now. Wunder's on his way. Mithy's behind Splyce, up near the red buff.
Mithy, what is he gonna do? Wunder goes in. That was a flash knock, found no target.
Mithy's coming from behind.
Splyce are slightly grouped up. If Sencux or Kobbe get caught out, they're in trouble. That's a stun. All of a sudden, Sencux is down. Wunder is down. G2 will not go quietly. They get a knock up onto Kobbe. He's the next target. And G2 have just found a way back into the game.
Despite all the issues for G2 Esports with winning team fights, Mithy hides behind the Baron, sneaks in, gets a great flank off to the carries of Splyce, and now G2 will secure the Baron.
What is this series? G2 fall behind, and after 25 minutes of perfect play from Splyce, they whiff, they get caught out.
The unseen cow is the deadliest, and Mithy just showed that in this engage here. Once we get it again, like, notice just how he is actually able to get onto the carries. Like, first thought of it, Wunder comes in, has flash ready, but he's not getting onto the carries of G2. Flashes in, everyone will disengage from it. And now...
Barrel knocked him away.
Oh, actually, you're correct. Great play there. And then Mithy gets the flank onto the back line. 2 carries are kept busy, and everyone from G2 can just flash in and kill them. This is what they needed. They're so tired of them being zoned away by the Trundle pillar, by the Orianna. This was Mithy finding the engage.
Trashy and Wunder, counter synergy there. The explosive cask just sends some people to safety. How pivotal that might just be. The damage from the last team fight on your screen, of course. Ocean Dragon secured by Trick and Zven.
Yeah, had G2 lost that game, it would have been over. Yeah. Like, there would have been no way back for them. They would have probably lost the Baron after it. The fact they just won that game gave them a second life, and they're trying to use that to actually beat Splyce.
G2 have just climbed into the gold lead as we get closer to the 30-minute mark. Splyce all of a sudden have to defend. Remember, scaling, tools, team fight, a lot of that is still in their favor, as long as they don't concede too much. And that is, of course, ever the optimist thing to say.
Well, it is an important thing to highlight that the issues they had before are still there for how they're going to play fights.
Yep.
They just have a bit of a buffer right now with the Baron to try and get a gold advantage, get an item advantage, and then try and use that to win the following team fight and see if you can close out the game.
Man, will G2 win the series? Will G2 go on to the semi-finals? Remember, if G2 win, due to the seeding rules, they'll actually face off against H2K. Fnatic will play Misfits. That's the way this will work. If all of a sudden G2 can turn this 3,000 gold lead into a win. Baron is still up for another minute and 20 seconds. Ashe Arrow catches onto Sencux. That's where the cleanse comes in hugely valuable. Youngbuck, coach on screen, gonna be happy with how Mithy played that game. And again, Deficio, I want you to remind all our viewers why Mithy ended up being voted as the All-EU LCS Pro #1.
Clutch plays like the one we see here. Great shot calling from him as well. But at the moment, it's all on the entire G2 lineup. Mithy will not always find a flank like the one we saw just before. Perkz is another person we have to look at. Rough series so far, up and down, but if you get one of those big flash ultis from a Cassiopeia in the late game, that can also be enough for G2 to win the fights. And that's the important thing. Like, it's not like their composition can't win late game fights. It's just much harder when you're lacking that extra mobility versus all the zoning and crowd control like from Splyce's side.
Playing on hard mode.
Extra hard mode.
Extra hard mode when you don't get an advantage in the early game. So 30 minutes in, 2 dragons to 1. Down in kills, but up in gold. That's where G2 find themselves. Looking down the itemization, by the way, Trick, Proto Belt, Runic Echoes, Liandry's. I mean, he didn't get an early advantage, but he's gotten the early build.
He's definitely trying to be a threat in these fights here. He's not going for like full tank Elise and just being a little, trying to be a small, like little meat wall in front of his carries. Clearly, he's actually valuing their not pure one-shot potential, but at least the burst potential of this build to see if he can do something in fights. If he's getting onto a squishy target, he can definitely do a lot of damage. All
right, let's see what can happen here. G2 are now sieging up onto this inhibitor turret. When G2 have overcommitted in the past, Splyce have been able to win team fights. Splyce have had phenomenal team fights this series. And that's what they're looking for those opportunities to find a way in.
That Baron, though, was so huge for G2. 4,000 gold ahead now, based on that one team fight and the Baron itself. But Splyce did not lose any inhibitors. The entire base is still alive. No vision, though, up here in the topside jungle. Mithy, Perkz, and Trick hiding in there. No blue trinket available either.
So scary for Splyce. They haven't had any vision in the jungle for a little while. I don't even know where G2 is.
Now we do.
All right, so what does Splyce do now, Deficio? Baron has worn off. Splyce all of a sudden is the team that is, and has been, defending from G2. Maybe they find their opportunities back into this game.
I mean, it's kind of thing, like the game plan doesn't really change that much for Splyce because they're still looking just for the pure 5-on-5 team fights. This late in the game, it's really hard to utilize full Gnar split push when the enemy team just can hard engage in the mid lane. Like the TP animation and so on, like it takes long. So it takes a lot of time, meaning that if your Gnar is not in position to TP an instantly when a fight breaks out, he might not even be there in time. So it's always like a few pushes on the side lane, then you walk into drawing your team with 5 and you're sitting 5 versus 5 against each other, and it just comes down to execution in fights. G2 try to use the Baron to get a bit of an item advantage. You see right now, if you go back to the items, that Perkz, as an example, is sitting with just half an item more than Sencux.
Yeah, I mean, Sencux, by the way, just picked up his death cap.
Big one for him, but also look at Zven. Half an item more than Kobbe. So the Baron team fight gave them the towers that now gave them a small item advantage, and they need to use that to win the next fight.
All right, let's see whether or not this arms race works out, and if Trick's kind of assassin Elise itemization becomes useful. Remember, Kobbe, that Feather Storm, if it is used to dodge an Ashe Arrow or Petrifying Gaze, then all of a sudden, Trick has got a very juicy bird to sink his fangs into. Teleport's available for Wunder. He's pushing this bottom lane, and just look at the vision from G2. They have absolute control of this northernmost quadrant.
Oh, nice dodge.
Sidestep between the uprights, and that's a goal.
Yeah, Splyce can't really face check anything without Wunder there, because they need him instantly for when the fight starts. They're trying to buy time. Mithy's trying to flank again. All
right, Mikyx doesn't get caught up by the knock-up. Wunder's now completing the teleport into the mid lane. Mikyx realizing he doesn't really want to face check. Control ward's going down. Pillar of Ice comes up. They'll slow down the retreat.
Well, Mikyx needs that pillar towards the back line, towards Perkz or Zven. Splyce used the TP, realized very quickly they couldn't actually keep Wunder in the bottom lane. Mikyx right now is recalling. Ooh, that could have been risky.
Close. Not enough vision for G2. Okay, so no teleport for Wunder. Baron is alive in 8 seconds. And it's near absolute vision control for G2. If Splyce wanted to go for a Drake, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's a cloud. It's not the most exciting. And that's a flash forward from Kobbe. Gets the flash out of Zven.
Yeah, no flash from Zven now. There's still ulti from Kobbe in the fight. Big difference right now in how you can escape a potential engage. Mikyx can pillar onto Zven, and they can just dive every single member onto that AD carry. But right now, they're looking for Trick and Perkz.
Oh man, G2 are way split up. That's a Petrifying Gaze over the wall. Perkz is going to go down. Ashe Arrow, it catches onto Kobbe, but Perkz loses his life. Kobbe gets dunked down in return. It's not one carry apiece. Sencux has already fired the shockwave. Cataclysm comes down from Expect. The Gnar gets pulled out, knocked back, goes sideways. Everything's going wrong here for G2. Expect goes down. Trick is going to get chased and slowed down here by Mikyx and those Pillars of Ice. So far, it's a 1 for 2. But Sencux and Trashy and Mikyx are trying to shut him down.
They want to kill the jungler, Trevor, so they can take Baron.
Well, the repel and the flash will help out. Trick flashed for a kill. Let's see how much time he can buy. Command attack, command protect, all the tools trying to slow things down. Kill secured by Trashy, 50-second death timer. Splyce could look for Baron.
Yeah, 30 seconds on Expect here, no teleport. Still no flash from Zven. Wunder.
Oh, Wunder's in a lot of trouble. Manages to get the Gnar, manages to get the stun. Zven takes a lot of damage. Body slam comes in from Trashy. Sencux secures the kill. Now Mithy's running for his life. The attacks and the dissonances are running him down. Shockwave's available to Sencux, and he actually uses it to burn down Mithy. This just sets him up for a faster Baron.
It's only Perkz alive. He's actually on the way to try and stop the Baron, but there are 4 members from Splyce with full HP. On all of them. There should be nothing Perkz can do. He will just take the blue buff, take a few jungle camps. This is Splyce Baron.
Oh, Splyce Baron, Splyce back in control. The upset is back on the cards. 3-time champions, back to back.
And every single team fight, you can see how hard it is for G2. Before this even started, Zven had lost his flash, and the rest of G2 was still standing on the top side. Splyce realized and went for the engage. They caught out multiple members, on the wrong side of the fight. Yes, they get 1 kill with Perkz, but now there's not really any damage left because Zven can never get close enough to deal damage on this Ashe without a flash. So he just has to volley, walk away, and see his teammates die.
Oh man, Trick bought a lot of time. Almost got Mikyx in the bottom of your screen in the picture-in-picture. You can see that the Cloud Drake was secured there by G2. Expect was able to escape. But that is a very, very small victory when you consider Splyce get another Baron. They've now got the tools to shove these waves in. And there's not the greatest of tools to defend against a Baron-empowered 5-man Splyce.
Even bigger problem for G2 is the fact that if they get pushed in, they can't really face check anything against all the engage on the side of Splyce. So they have to just kind of surrender the entire jungle very quickly and sit really far back on the map. Splyce right now are spreading out to take that top lane tier 1 tower that is still alive. Some free gold for the team. Double cannon for Kobbe. Should be an easy one.
Yeah, very easy tower to take down. And huge thank you to all NA LCS fans who are still sitting with us. CLG will be taking on Envy once this game wraps, but you have the pleasure of seeing one of the biggest upsets in EU LCS playoff history. G2, they looked unstoppable for so long, and now they're on the verge of having their Nexus knocked over. Splyce just have one last hurdle to clear.
And this Splyce story could be so awesome again. Last year when they came in to the LCS, first split, spring split, didn't do anything, didn't even make playoffs. Second split, they became one of the best teams in Europe. They made it to the final, they made it to Worlds. That was after they picked up Mikyx. Same guys staying together.
Yeah.
Another year, spring split once again. It's a bit of an issue. They're not really achieving anything. They drop out in quarters after getting reverse swept by Misfits. And now this one, everyone kind of said, you know what, G2, massive favorites. And Splyce, with the same 5 guys who've been working together for so long now, are actually beating them.
Oh, such a great story. 5 players that really are greater than the sum of their parts. And individually, each one of these players has had shining performances throughout the course of the split. Kobbe, by the way, one of the quieter AD carries, but always reliable. Sencux has had the best LCS split of his career.
100%.
In terms of performance, and now Splyce, 30 seconds left on the Baron. They're looking at this inhibitor turret. Where are the rest of the lanes? Looks like top is pushing towards G2. Splyce, they're not going to commit to this one just yet, Deficio.
We're going to wait for another round of big objectives to be on the map. Elder Drake coming up, Baron will come up in a few minutes as well. Splyce's buff will just run out about now. And we are still so even here that one team fight can decide the game towards G2, towards Splyce. It doesn't even matter then what your draft was or what happened early on in this game. If you win that last team fight, that's all you care about.
Yep. Of course, for G2, it has been a trying split. MSI really revealed some cracks in the squad that looked flawless. They continue to struggle international stage, came back after a small hiatus in week 1 and 2, and never really regained that top level. We saw little glimmers of it here and there. Beaten by Fnatic in week 10, having their backs against the wall. They're behind in gold, behind in kills, behind in every metrics that matters. And now they somehow have to find a miracle.
Still waiting for one of the big objectives to spawn. You can see Splyce are staying around the mid lane. They don't want to just rush down one lane and risk getting caught out. This is a pure 5-on-5 game where the one person getting caught out and losing it for his team, oh man. That is the one. That's one person you're going to feel real bad for.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see who it's going to be. Elder
It might
Dragon.
not be anyone. It could just be 5-on-5. Perfectly executed team fight from both sides.
Elder Dragon will be spawning in 2 minutes. Baron, probably about a minute after that, roughly. And you can see the gold graph over time. Plus 4K to G2 Esports. Swings back in control of Splyce after those team fights around Baron and then Baron itself.
We're going to have all the summoner spells ready for the next fight as well. All the ultis are available. One big clash between the two teams. Elder Drake is only one Ocean Drake for Splyce, so it's not the biggest buff for them. G2 could actually surrender it if they don't feel ready to fight around it. It's way better for G2 to get it with their 3 Drakes.
Yeah, and of course, we talked a lot about the individual sort of team stories of these two squads. But G2 and Splyce are actually huge practice partners for the longest time. On stage and off stage, they've got a history and a legacy that goes back well over a year at this point. Last summer, it was the final here in the EU LCS, and now it's a quarterfinal. Some of the other squads have picked up. So let's take a look at this. 50 seconds until Elder, 110 until Baron. I'm looking at Vision and Baron. Vision for the objectives. And Splyce are pushing in.
Pushing in to try and secure it. To add to your point, you know, about the teams joining at the same time and being practice partners, like, I always felt like Splyce were kind of the little brothers.
Yes.
G2, they were the ones to win the split. They were the ones to kind of represent Europe, you know, at MSI and these events, and it wasn't Splyce. And now Splyce had the chance to, you know, throw this big brother out of the house, take over.
Well, let's see whether or not they can, because it's still 42 minutes in, and I don't yet feel like G2 have lost this game. It still feels
no, it's so even still.
Very close.
I still personally favor Splyce's comp, but again, it comes down to execution right now.
Right now, the execution call is mid-lane style. Trick waiting around the side. He's fired out the cocoon, waiting for the cooldown. The unseen cow is the deadliest. That's something I've heard Deficio say this game. So I'm keeping my eye on Mithy. Where does he find his engages? G2 Esports, they're not too worried about this Elder Dragon, but they don't really want to give it away for free. Starting to group up. Ashe is available for Zven. The engage comes out from Expect. Perkz is coming over the wall. He's managed to find Sencux. Sencux, the shockwave, catches two, but he's shut down. Elder Dragon stolen by G2 as well. They've got 3 dragons. All of a sudden, Splyce are being stomped. G2 win the fight. They get the buff, and now the map is theirs.
That was such an insane flank from Perkz. A man who's not been performing this series, then ends up pulling off the crazy flank. Gets onto Sencux, kills the Orianna before we even got to see any damage really coming in from his side other than just on a bunch of tanks standing right in front of him. G2 Esports are taking the Baron as well. This could have been a perfect fight where Splyce engages to get the great shockwave on Zven or Perkz, but instead it was a flank from a Cassiopeia. Sencux couldn't do anything other than just hit the tanks right in front of him, and Splyce lose the fight. Again, it's all about execution.
Every single time. Looking at the minimap, here's Perkz coming around the side with the blast code.
Yeah, the blast code in, they do not expect it, so he just catches them by surprise, and the shockwave there. It's just on to Expect, and Mithy doesn't do anything against G2, and Zven was never really under any pressure. Splyce had the comp that could stop the backline of G2 from dealing damage, but it was Perkz with the flank engage to stop Splyce's backline.
Deficio, you can only stop the backline when it is the backline. Perkz became the front line. He managed to just face check Splyce. Baron empowered minions with 3 Dragon Elder. They now break open the base. Splyce is about to lose her inhibitor. The last game of the series, the first inhibitor to fall, and G2 aren't done yet. They're going to continue sieging top.
And it's one of those plays you just get from one of those superstar players that can decide the entire series. Again, it doesn't matter what happened earlier in this game. The fact you win that one fight gives you Elder Drake, gives you Baron buff. Can they now get all the inhibs down as well and make it super difficult for Splyce to keep defending?
And G2 get the glory and knock Splyce out at the quarterfinals. There's still 2 minutes left on this Baron. The upset was in the sight of Splyce. Mithy decides to go in. There's the Cataclysm. Locks down 3. The Gnar comes out. Now that's a mini Gnar. Cataclysm walls are dropped. Kobbe has already used the Featherstorm. Petrifying Gaze onto Wunder. He's the target. A headbutt away from Mithy. The inhibitor number 2 now falls. G2 haven't found any kills, but they haven't lost any members. And they've got supers in 2 lanes. Look at the minions in the bottom lane. G2 can just swing around the corner, and they're going to buff them up. They want another inhib, Deficio.
I mean, why not? You still have the Baron buff with all the cannons down the bottom lane. Splyce trying to defend. Did not lose that last fight. Was actually an even trade. Trashy getting cocoon. TP coming in from Expect.
All right, Expect's going to finish it. He instantly uses the flag and drag to safety. It's a 3,000 gold lead. More importantly, it's super minions now making their way onto the steps of Splyce's base. G2 have got a minute left on Baron, so they're just going to keep playing this one for time, pushing Splyce further and further back. There's also a GA on Expect, so if he decides to go in, once that Cataclysm's back up, he just comes back to life.
Still no flash on Perkz' side, so he needs to be a bit careful. If he gets pillared, he can't really get away from it. Could set up an engage from Trashy with his flash on the Gragas here. G2 are still staying around. Splyce not finding the engage they are looking for. 2 inhibs gone. Last one right down the bottom lane. But again, Perkz, no flash. He is the target for Splyce.
Okay, Pillar of Ice is going to be very important if Mikyx can find it. Wunder's got his teleport available. He was actually clearing the top wave just a moment ago. Miasma's going to buy some time. Tower takes a bunch of shots. Keep your eyes on Perkz and Expect. Mithy gets barreled back into the team. Unbreakable Will's already used. Wunder gets tagged up. Wunder, no flash available to him. Pillar of Ice won't be enough to catch Perkz out.
Splyce needed Trashy on the other side in that fight. He needs to be a threat in front of the Cassiopeia. You can all in onto Perkz with Shockwave as well, and it will be hard for him to stay alive. Luckily though for G2, there are things like the Locket, try and keep Perkz here, and Knight's Vow as well.
Deficio with 5 hours and 40 minutes into the broadcast, and Splyce and G2 are 1 team fight away from a finished series and a spot in the semifinals, a guaranteed spot in Paris. And G2 are playing this very final siege very safely.
And they have to. They need the Summoner Souls back up for the next fight. Elder Drake's gonna be dead for a while. Everyone kind of resets, and Splyce could have lost the entire game based on that fight, but they stay alive, and their composition can still win here in the late game. Gold doesn't matter anymore. Like, we are so close to this fully completed items on everyone's side. And once again, we have to highlight execution from the teams. Can Splyce, with the Gnar and the Gragas, reach the backline of G2? The Ashe and the Cassiopeia, no dashes, just one flash. With a shockwave on the back, a pillar from a Trundle, the carries will die from G2. Or can they stay alive and either kite back and kill the front line of Splyce, or make a miracle flank like the one we saw from Perkz? You normally don't get more than one of those per series.
You normally don't, but superstar players find them. Superstar players create those moments, Deficio. Let's see what Perkz can do. Technically speaking, he's done less damage than Trick this series. This game, rather. So total damage to champions.
It's the Proto Belt hype.
It is the Proto Belt. Void Staff, Hourglass, Elise, of course. In game 5, you get no early kills. Still only have 2 assists of your team's 11. But the threat alone has been pivotal.
So Mithy, obviously the Trundle, the classic Ardent Sensor build, where your Stormborn will apply the Earthen Rune, and therefore when people hit those targets after you pillar them, will apply the Ardent Sensor because it's a heal going on to you. So Kobbe will benefit from that. And if Sencux has gone for a Nash's Tooth build like Power Beaver, could also benefit a little bit from it, but not this time around.
No, instead Sencux has gone for the slightly more traditional,
which I think is a very good idea.
I like
big
that
fan,
too.
big fan.
Let's see what happens now. Mithy has got his flash, looking at the rest of G2, all available. Same is true for Splyce. So Deficio, now that Splyce have got a pretty linear way to defend, just stand on your steps or stand in front of any hit, how did G2 get through that?
I mean, it's just win a team fight. Like, that literally is it. There should be no way to win this game for either team without taking down the other guys in their big 5-on-5 fight. I do not expect some random shenanigans with backdoors at the moment. This should just line up to a big 5-on-5 clash. Now, Baron is alive in 40 seconds. Splyce still pushed far back on the map. And they don't have a lot of vision around it, and you gotta respect the face check right now, this late in the game. If you lose one member, he's dead for a long time.
Yeah, and that could be the game. Top inhibitor will be respawning soon. Wunder's there to catch that wave of super minions. And again, every time I see Mithy hiding around a corner, I just start getting nervous for Splyce. Ashe Arrow eaten by Trashy in the face. Literally did not care.
I think Zven tried to force the ulti from Kobbe, and then we could see an engage happen from Mithy after, when Kobbe had no ulti here. But Splyce with inhibs back alive, they're pushing out, and they actually will get some access to this Baron here. It won't just be gifted over to G2 Esports. We will get another fight around it.
All right, all of that vision that was set up by G2, you can see starting to dwindle, starting to get pushed back, and it will time out sooner or later. Mithy gets body slammed, but look at the damage from Zven and Perkz.
And this is what happens if G2's backline are allowed to sit and actually deal damage. If they do not get zoned away or comboed down by the shockwave, they can take down these tanks. That's why the kite back strategy is something that G2 can try to utilize. If they can't find a good flank, then they know they can just kill whatever is right in front of them.
Okay, a couple of pings onto G2 wards in and around the red buff. Teleport starting to be channeled from Expect.
He's behind the red buff.
Going to peel away, so Expect inside the red buff. Trick and the rest of G2 looking for the engage. There's a flank option available. Baron gets started. Expect is holding onto his combo for now. Gnar is about to proc here for Wunder. Ashe Arrow catches onto Trashy, but the Baron is already secured. Perkz seems to be the target so far. Wunder's running for his life. Where's the damage? Featherstorm comes down. Nobody's dead yet. Cataclysm comes out. Blast Cone sends Sencux away from the fight. Mithy is zoning him. That's a double kill for Expect. A triple kill for Expect. Sencux is down. Sencux is killed, and G2 may have just won the series.
There was no early shockwave right there, and Mithy denied the engage from Splyce. Great team fight from G2 again. 4 members dead now for a minute on the side of Splyce.
Oh, G2 Esports win the team fight. Splyce have their head in their hands as the death timers are 50 seconds plus.
It came down to that one last team fight, and G2 Esports, they show the experience. They execute the last crucial one. They win the fight. It's only Mikyx left alive, and that's not enough.
Not enough at all. Mikyx is the target. Gets shut down by G2 Esports. And after a 5-game series, G2 yell their era is not over. G2 Esports defended all series long.
Oh, and this last game was just as close as some of the other big ones we've seen today. Splyce, they're looking at it being like, we had the lead, our comp was great, we could win the fights, but then they get outplayed by G2 Esports in the last key fights. And this is why G2 Esports have won so many LCS splits. And they're still looking for another one.
They're not done yet, Deficio. Semi-final showdown is set. G2 will face H2K, and Fnatic will face the Misfits. Zven is coming to yell and celebrate what is the first 5-game series G2 has ever participated in the EU LCS stage, and they won it after 52.5 minutes.
Hey, if you gotta play in the quarterfinal, you also have to work for it. You gotta move your way towards that semifinal. You gotta deserve it. And after this series, where Splyce showed up big time, showed a much higher level than we expected, G2 had to really work for it. And in the end, they deserved to win. But man, this could have gone both ways.
Oh, this series, so possible for Splyce to finish. You can see the players on your screen, the reactions after that final fight.
They were so close, man.
Splyce performed phenomenally today, and they will appear in the regional qualifiers. What a level, but what heartbreak when you think this could have, maybe should have,
but they're not,
this series.
They're not done yet. If they play like this in the regional qualifier, then there's definitely a realistic shot of them making Worlds, and that is, of course, the end goal for them, seeing as they can no longer go to Paris and the final, which is what G2 Esports are moving towards, which means we get H2K versus G2 as one of our semifinals, and Fnatic Misfits is the other one.
I am extremely happy we got to cast that series, because coming into it, the general perception and expectation was that G2 were pretty clear favorites, 3-0, 3-1. A lot of people talking
about
what
the analyst said as well.
Hey, look, Splyce, they were going to show up. Nobody from the players and the team side was saying Splyce were going to get crushed. But for Splyce to perform this well and to almost take it with victory in grasp.
Oh, almost makes it worse for Splyce, but that's how it is in these games here. The fact that we got some of these individual plays from G2 in the last one, like the Perkz flank, Mithy's zoning in the last fight, like it's those moments where these players step up that makes them win these late game fights.
I think you said it best, Deficio. This is where the superstar players define themselves, the reason they earn those titles. Both Mithy and Perkz have phenomenal plays, and you know what? Expects engages as the game played out. He ended 7-3-7 on that Jarvan. It was a first pick. It worked really well for Expect.
Jarvan, very successful today. Managed to win every single game. And teams have been saying, like, first pick that Jarvan straight away. And we saw, again, why a lot of these teams favor a champion like that, because it's so good in this tank meta. It's so good at these engages. And it worked wonders for Expect in this one after a lot of back and forth.
Oh, such back and forth. So just to give you guys an update, we are setting up for the interview. And if any of the NALCS viewers are still with us, thank you so much. CLG will take on Envy over on NALCS 1. We still have an interview. We have some big plays to work through, as well as PGL. So anyways, if you missed any of the action in today's series, we will rebroadcast following this evening's NALCS quarterfinal. Stay tuned and watch Game 1 after. It is phenomenal. 50 minutes back and forth.
And then Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, and Game 5.
Screw it. Just do like 20 in a row.
Actually watch the whole thing.
Deficio, G2 took down Splyce after a very close fight. Let's go over to Drakos, who's ready with Perkz and our player of the series.
Spoilers, Mithy, you got player of the series, and I think a lot of it was due to the Game 5. So tell me right now, what is running through your head? How are you feeling after such a close series against Splyce?
Relieved, I guess. I'm kind of disappointed in Game 5 because I missed a flash combo that would have ended the game really much faster. So yeah, I was a bit stressed out that I missed that, but I think I played a pretty good last team fight. So yeah, I'm happy for that.
And speaking of those moments, I mean, you had that clutch final team fight, but also you, Perkz. This series, I think it's safe to say, was a little bit of a struggle for you. You got so much attention in the mid lane. That last game, the laning phase didn't go well. And then you come in behind a dragon on a blast cone to turn around a fight. How do you have the confidence to do that after struggling so much in the early game?
Honestly, this was like the worst series of my life, I think. I don't know what happened. I feel like just my day was, like my focus was just off. I was playing really bad in the early games, game 1, 3, and 4. And I was like costing my team. Actually, the game with Corki, I lost the game alone. And the other games, I was just, I was getting attention, but like I could have played so much better. And I'm really disappointed in myself. But there was like so many thoughts actually going through my head, but I was just trying to focus and center on the presence. And then I just went full no regrets and flash every time I have flash up. And and if Mithy didn't int it once, he would have won the game faster. But.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my God. Okay, you guys are coming into this so positive, but you're talking about like the tension in the game. We heard from the desk as well that sometimes Perkz, maybe Zven as well, you guys can be emotional players. After that game 1, were you guys worried at all? Did you think even for a second that we would have been going to a game 5?
I don't think we're emotional players at all. Honestly, like, yeah, not really. I think we are probably the least emotional team of all the teams that are in the LCS, I would say. So, yeah.
I mean, it definitely showed in the consistency that you found there. Now, coming into this series, what did your prep look like to go toe-to-toe with Splyce? Because we look at their last week of games and not a whole lot that you can pull from there. So were you prepping internally, like just looking at what G2 can do better, or were you trying to figure out what Splyce would bring to the table as well?
Yeah, we were definitely just looking at what we can do better. We had no idea what Splyce likes to play. There's a new patch too, and Sencux is known to play cheesy stuff, so we actually expected him to play Malzahar and stuff, and he ended up playing meta champions. I think it's the first time I ever see Sencux and Orianna, honestly. So it was not what we expected, and I think they did pretty good drafts. I don't think we adapted in the second phase of the drafts good enough. Like in the first game, we should have either banned Morgana or banned Camille, and then in one game where they had like the Jarvan Rakan Orianna combo, we could have won, but we were still playing like champions that were not really on our comfort because they basically denied us the mage matchup because it would just die to that combo. So I think they caught us a little bit off guard, and we were able to adapt quite okay, but I think we just made some mistakes. I don't think we played bad. I think they played quite good, but yeah, I think we made some mistakes ourselves.
We did see some improvement coming in from Splyce. At least I felt like. Perkz, I know you've been very critical of your own performance in this series, but what was your impression of Sencux this series? It felt like he played much better than at least I would have expected looking at the regular season.
I think he played really well. Like overall, he didn't do many mistakes, and he was always equal in lane, trading priority with me, pushing in, getting pushed in, and he was just playing well in team fights, well on the map. I think he played really well.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's good to hear that you can acknowledge that now moving forward. Once again, you're critical of your own performance. What now do you do in the week before you have to go toe-to-toe with H2K? What do you do in preparation? How do you regain that focus? How do you regain that composure coming into your next series?
Well, honestly, I was just not very confident in the drafts and what I can prepare. And some stuff that we played today, some stuff we practiced a lot, but some stuff we didn't really play much against. And it's a new patch, so I didn't really know what to prioritize on mid lane so much. I came up with some idea myself, but also I just have to focus on my own play. And yeah, that's mostly it.
All right, well, Mithy, in terms of what you guys have learned about the patch, I know that there were a lot of changes to mid lane, but it feels like some changes just across the board. Do you feel like you guys now have a more developed understanding after playing it on stage, not just scrimming it? Do you feel like maybe we will see an improved G2 coming into the match against H2K next week?
Pretty sure we will pick up 1 or 2 more mid lane picks, and other than that, I'd probably see the same G2. I don't know, bot lane is so strange because normally when I go into playoffs, I tell myself, okay, you're going to play these 4 champions, and then I just stick to them and play to my best. But this split, I decided that, I don't know, I had like a huge motivation urge, so I've been playing more solo queue than, I mean, I'm playing the same amount of solo queue I played when I was in Lemon Dogs, so I'm not really sure what's going on, but I just feel very, very comfortable with my own play, and I can just play every champion right now, so bot lane we can play everything, and I think it's gonna go very well for us. Like the more we play in this patch, because all of my teammates just are willing to pick up every champ and play it very well. So yeah,
it's good to hear that confidence, that commitment to improvement from both of you. But I have to ask, because this is the first year you've been in the quarterfinals. This is the first time I've seen G2 taken to a Game 5 in a playoffs ever, right? And so I'm wondering, do you feel like this is the weakest G2 has been going into playoffs?
Well, I don't think this is necessarily the weakest G2 has been going into playoffs. Just before, we were always in the bye, so we'd always see what other teams would play. And we are really, really good at adapting to other teams, like even in the series or just seeing what they do, their pathing, their champions they play, their play. So like every player has his tendencies, and we are just good at reading them and learning like how to play against them. This is the first time we had to play quarterfinals. Honestly, it's just insane pressure too. You can't, like, I had to stop myself from thinking about what if I lose now, you know, like what if I lose in quarterfinals after winning splits for 3 splits in a row. So this has just been like a huge shock for me, like personally, and it can only go upwards from here. Like, yeah, we're gonna pick it up.
All right, Mithy, you feeling the same level of confidence moving forward for G2?
I mean, I stick to what I said. I think we're going to win that whole thing. This doesn't change anything.
All right, it's good to hear the confidence. Congrats again on your Game 5 win over Splyce, gentlemen, in the series in the quarterfinals. Good luck to you again in your series against H2K next week. For now, though, we're going to send it back to the casters to take a look at some dope plays from earlier in the week.
Thank you very much, Drakos. I like the final line there from Mithy. Doesn't matter. They're still going to win
the whole thing. I mean, Splyce showed up big time, and we don't even know how H2K is going to look. We haven't seen them now in a few weeks, and it is playoffs, you know, maybe G2 Esports.
So exciting. It's such a great start to the LCS.
You never know.
Some still playoffs. That concludes the quarterfinals, so it is time to check out some of the best performances of the week. So here are your LCS big plays. They are, of course, brought to you by Acer. Let's start with Power of Evil. He's been the main carry for Misfits Gaming this split. He showed his skills yesterday with some style in the mid lane. So let's take a look.
We need to look towards that world spot, and we need to play around the mid lane, say Misfits as the knockback onto Exile. He flashes, but it's first blood in the mid lane, and Misfits do exactly what we want them to.
Everybody's here.
Hey, I show on the map, you can go mid, you can go. Nice, nice, nice.
There's a pink there.
Everybody's
parity. Yeah, parity
really?
top.
I got him.
Everybody's parity.
Nice.
I need the base.
After we get top power. We can't come.
He has flash. He has flash.
They're not coming.
I think I got him. No, he has shield.
Mid.
Yeah, I can get him. Oh, what the fuck?
I don't have flash.
Good job.
Nice.
Oh, it's so cool.
I like it. Always, you know, I got him. Don't worry. He's wait. Oh, I got him. It's fine. It's fine.
After game 1, where Hans Summer looked great, I asked the question on Twitter and I said, who was a better AD carry? Do you know it was 50% to 50% after 6,000 votes?
Well, after this one, Power of Evil probably got it.
I think so too. But it wasn't just Power of Evil that made big plays yesterday for Misfits Gaming. Hans Summer!
Hey!
He also proved himself as a carry for the team, especially when he got his hands on the Yordle Gunner in game 2.
TP as well, they want this! They want a grand team fight, Thaddeus! Your predictions are coming true! The root, the knockback, the kills, the Misfits! As they clean up after the Barons! Your predictions are coming true! The root, the knockback, the kills, the Misfits! As they clean up after the Barons! So trying to get onto the Trist, can he take him out? No, he can't! Knocked up, taken down, double kill! Hans Summer and the Misfits are gonna play clean up crew! He's going through the base, he gets the triple, he gets the quadra. Give us a penta and Summer to start us off. The EU LCS quarterfinals start off with a pentakill.
I love the team calls.
Now, I think Hans Summer is the best AD carry in the team.
Oh, did you vote though?
I switch a lot. So when I saw the Power of Evil replays, I'm like, he's the one.
Yeah.
Now, after that pentakill, it's Hans Summer.
To be fair, Power of Evil's Ignite mechanics were more impressive than his AD carry mechanics.
Yeah, but AD carries don't play with that. You know, they don't use the summon.
No, they don't. That's
it's
why
very unfair.
Right. Anyway, Splyce then managed to come back from 11,000 gold deficit in game 1 versus G2. They were led by their top laner Wunder in the deciding team fights. It was not easy being Zven. And at ShineOnLol tweeted, a Camille ulting onto you with Black Shield, topped off with Galio ulting onto that Camille. That
and
does
a Jarvan
not
as well.
look fun. No, it doesn't.
Trashy have no flash for a potential engage.
And keep following Mithy, of course. He's been the game changer. Sven's been locked in by the Hextech ultimatum, and he's shut down. Wunder gets the kill credit. That's a great gnaw into the Cataclysm that was put down by Trashy. Wunder's found Perkz. He's not going to find him just yet. The Hourglass buys some time. 2 kills for G2, as Sencux gets another.
So, hovering around bound. Wunder goes in.
All right, Zven seems to be the target. Buster shot has been fired. Zven is taken down. Where is Perkz now? He's exhausted. Everybody from Splyce is jumping out. The stuns come down. There's no damage left. G2 just got dunked. Cataclysm comes out after the flag and drag. The Gnar into the wall, but it's Kobbe with a double kill.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to rewatch Game 1. 100%.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Didn't even see the Camille Morgana combo until we actually got the one late game fight. It never really clicked. You were like, oh, you know, Tristana can just shoot the Camille away every time. And you're like, wait.
Yeah,
Black
theoretically.
Shield. Black Shield.
Well, that was about 6 hours ago at this point, Deficio.
I know.
Props casting, dude.
I'm almost a year older now.
There we go. That will do it from us here at the cast list. Let's send it over to Sjokz for the post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the post-game lobby, where I'm joined by Andrew, Zayah, Febiven, and Prolly from H2K to take a look back on our first week of playoffs and break down the matchups for the semi-finals. I have to say I'm very impressed by Trevor and Deficio. They casted like 6 hours today, but they are as full of energy as ever at the end of the day.
Deficio does look a lot older now, though. I can see the wrinkles coming on his face.
That is mean. Okay, well, why did we have such a long day? Well, because we had a fantastic series on our hands in the final series of the week. G2 and Splyce were in a thrilling fight that went all the way to Game 5. The reigning champions in the end managed to secure the win, but it was much, much closer than expected, I believe, when we tallied the votes of the analysts, and kind of everyone we spoke to, it might be a 3-0, but it's going to be incredibly close in games. Well, the games were close, but it wasn't a 3-0. And it's easy to say, oh, well, was G2 the better team all along? But there's just so much more nuance to this series than that. So probably, was there anything you can point out that G2 was better at in the end?
I think when the pressure kind of started heating up in the games, that's when G2 really was just looking pretty normal. Like that very last Baron fight that won them the game, like Splyce was very, very timid. They weren't sure if they should go for it. And G2 just immediately looked like they knew what they wanted to do, and they just kind of went for it. I think that kind of confidence from G2 is what like gives them these edges in these like longer games and series.
That's something that actually, Vedis, you brought up beforehand when we discussed the semifinals. You said, I want to see kind of the adaptability and the clutchness of G2 in a best-of-5 series, and I think this is a great example.
You've got to remember that this team, they've been to MSI, they've been to Worlds, they went to MSI again. These guys have had a lot of international competition against some of the best teams in the world, and they've been pushed to the very brink multiple times. This scenario for them is not as new as it should be for Splyce. And when you're so close to being able to defeat G2, the reigning kings in Europe, and make yourself into the semifinals and to play at Paris, that is going to weigh on your mind in those last few fights. But as you heard Perkz saying, like, he was shoving those ideas out of his head, and he was like, focus on my play, make sure I'm doing what I need to for my team. And as Prolly said, I think that was the key difference in those final few fights.
Yeah, Febiven, I don't think I've ever seen you as animated as when you were watching that game, because it was so back and forth that you were struggling with the fact that you're Perkz' friend, but on the other hand, you know, it would be nice if Splyce won as well for your future competitors also. But what do you think in the end of the mid lane competition? We were saying that Sencux was outperforming Perkz, but did it really just come down to keeping a cool head in the final moments?
I mean, I would still say that Sencux outperformed Perkz in the series, even though I think the last game Perkz played really well with his ultimates, and like his flanks were really game-changing, and yeah, being able to stay cool in your head. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sencux can do it as well, but maybe Perkz a bit more because he played more international events and might be a bit more grown up, I feel like, than Sencux. But yeah, I think Sencux still outperformed Perkz, but G2 was slightly the better team today.
Yes, slightly the better team, which makes it so heartbreaking for Splyce. We saw them after the game, and especially after having not a good or not the best split, we couldn't really say that we've seen immense growth from them. I think that's fair to say. And then Sencux steps up. Wunder has some great games. Trashy was playing out of his mind. The bottom lane carries some games. Like, it must be so heartbreaking for them.
It certainly will be, but you also have to have that element of excitement going into the gauntlet too, because you've got a not so great looking Unicorns of Love. You've got a really strong Splyce. And there are a lot more teams still left to see who will remain in the gauntlet. And it's going to lead to some really exciting games here in Europe as to who will be able to crawl through and take that spot.
It will, but with that, after our first week of playoffs, the teams for Paris are locked in, and more importantly, or evenly so, we have our matchup for the semifinals. It's going to be Misfits Gaming facing off against Fnatic, and H2K versus G2, which is one of the reasons why Febiven was so tense watching this series. We'll talk about H2K, G2 later. I want to start with Misfits Gaming. They beat the Unicorns of Love, which puts them now up against Fnatic, and that will be the first semifinal that will also be played next Saturday. So a quick recap maybe. Vedius wasn't as big of an upset, people said, but the fact that Misfits 3-0'd Unicorns of Love so cleanly was kind of interesting.
I think the biggest thing about that series was the fact that we saw a huge amount of growth from the Misfits team as a whole, not only individually, but their ability to work together. And for the Unicorns of Love, they seem to be making the same sort of mistakes and playstyles that they've been making for the entire split. And one of the big frustrations that I hear from pros and analysts is that Unicorns seem to be winning through weird ways. They seem to be winning through a unique style that's difficult to prepare for. And I felt like that through really good prep from Misfits, they were able to expose it and punish it very effectively.
Yeah, they don't really rely on like one strategy to work. It's kind of like, yeah, when they pick Talon, like sometimes it's going to go like 5-0 or 0-5. You can't really consistently say like, okay, we'll have this pick and we know how to play around it. It's like, it just works or it doesn't. There's not much, rhythm to it, I feel like.
So we saw a huge growth from Misfits, even though, Unicorns of Love also had a bit of a questionable draft. So we have to say that Misfits were well prepared. They played well. They had Hansama stepping up, especially cool for him because he'll be celebrating his birthday also in Paris, and he is French, so that's going to be nice. But it's cool to see that evolution because Power of Evil was really all we heard this split, I think, from Misfits. He was always stepping up. He had great stats across the board, but not always that secondary carry. So we'll see if that is enough, Febiven, because now they are going up against Fnatic. So have you seen enough from Misfits that you think that they can beat Fnatic?
It's really hard to say. I think Fnatic is probably the best team right now and like a way step higher than every other team. I think Misfits is like, they play kind of the same play style, but I think they have just weaker players in every role. And also, their drafts are a bit worse than Misfits, I feel like. And yeah, I think Fnatic have like, Cabs, Reckless, and like Soas, like all these star players, which I think will outperform the opponents, and it's gonna be tough for them.
Well, especially like we saw how G2, you said they've been to a lot of events, they have a lot of experience. Take a look at that Fnatic roster. They have a wealth of experience, plus those new rookies that are super hungry. I mean, may not forget Caps, he also played the finals over in the TCL. So there is so much in that lineup, Prolly. How do you see this going? Is this a clean cut for Fnatic?
I feel like it is. I mean, like, Misfits played really well against UOL, but I feel like they haven't played that well for long enough to bet on them in a way. So I think if they can show up the way they did against UOL, I think it will be a closer series. But I think most likely the way that they played against UOL, like Fnatic won't fall into this trap. Fnatic will have a strong draft. And then, yeah, Fnatic has really strong laners, like a good jungler. Like, I feel like they don't have the same weaknesses that UOL has.
But also, I think that when you think of growth, sure, Misfits, they prepped extremely well, they developed really well as a team, but Fnatic, post-Rift Rivals, and even before that, coming into the third place match in Hamburg, they look like a completely different team. And these guys know how to prepare and they know how to evolve. So they will see this playstyle from Misfits and they will, I believe, be able to effectively adapt and shut it down. And while I do think Misfits will make the series interesting and they will not make it an easy best-of-5 series for Fnatic, I still think the Fnatic's are the favorite.
To summarize it, I feel all of you guys are pegging it for Fnatic going to the finals. That would put Fnatic in the finals up against either H2K or G2. Oh my word, this is an interesting semi-final, and it was so nice. I cannot repeat it just to watch it here with some members of H2K. In the end, you got to beat everyone if you want to win the championship, right? But Febiven, is there kind of, obviously I wouldn't say fear, but there's more anxiety going into a best-of-5 versus a G2 that has now proven that even versus a great Splyce, in those final moments, they have enough to finish off the game.
Yeah, for sure. Like I believe that I don't know. Like, I just have this feeling that people think Fnatic is like the best team in EU, but then I also feel like G2 is like, I just feel like they're a bit better. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like G2, yeah, they're just a better, like the best team in Europe, you know, and they will always be. I mean, they have been for like 3 splits in a row now, you know, so. I don't know, I really much rather would have faced Misfits, obviously. But yeah, going up against G2 will be like ultimate test, and if we win against G2, I'm really confident that we will win against Fnatic.
Well, there's a lot of things here. It's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's like, well, I do think they're the best. So then in the end, if you lose to them, it was right all along. But that aura of invincibility, Prolly, we thought that was shattered, you know? We thought that it was shattered for G2. Kings can bleed. They lost a couple of series. They almost lost this one. They had to go to the quarterfinals. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with Febiven that they might still be just the best team in Europe?
I mean, I think they're really good for sure, but they are making a lot more mistakes than they used to. Like when they were a really strong team, you know, they went from like, you know, really good to like, you know, beating or matching SKT some games. And in that transformation, they really almost fixed a lot of their problems where like, yeah, Perkz is getting caught out or they're having weak laning phases, stuff like that. But then this split, all those problems kind of came back. That made like G2 not the like top, and I feel like that's where they're at right now, where they still have similar issues, and they still have really good gameplay. Like their team fights are really confident, their Baron calls are really fast, but they're not this thing like last year where you'd go against G2 and you'd be kind of like shaking in your chair a bit, like what do we do against them? Now it's kind of like you can kind of see the weaknesses in the crack show, and you can kind of play for that, or you can just focus on yourself because yeah, like Splyce showed. If you play well, they're not unbeatable.
Well, in the post-interview there with Drakos that Perkz also mentioned, he said, well, yeah, I did feel that feeling of shock. Are we going to go out in quarterfinals? In one way, that's all behind them now, right? Maybe that shock effect is not something they have to go through again. Now they can just play freely and crush H2K. This is all hypothesis.
I think it's. I think Perkz' performance will definitely be a step up. Something that I had a great chat with Febiven about was, I don't know why, but every time I play against Perkz, he just seems to play better. It's just like, and I think that is a respect thing because you do have to remember that a lot of fans, I mean, analysts, other teams respected Febiven enough to vote him as the strongest mid laner in Europe right now. And I feel like a lot of other mid laners show that level of respect towards him. So I think we're in for quite an exciting mid lane matchup. But also the big thing in my mind right now is that H2K this year have really struggled against top teams in Europe. And I think that them going up against G2 will be a big test for them in terms of how well they can prepare, because now they've had to experience firsthand. Well, I say firsthand. They got to sit here and analyze very deeply.
And get Vedius's insight.
And my great insight too on some of the weaknesses from G2. But it's about whether or not they can then apply that. Because we do know that H2K are a very smart team. They have a lot of strong individuals, but sometimes the execution is what matters on game day.
Yeah, let's get those two things and discuss them separately. First off, Prolly, how confident are you in kind of the game of 5 games in a row with drafts where in game 5 you have to come up with the right thing? How confident in your abilities are you that, at least for that part, you can outsmart G2 or you can make the right decisions if it comes to that?
Well, the good thing that we've been practicing a lot more recently has been involving the whole team in these kind of discussions on how we're adapting. And I think before in playoffs, it was really just me doing it by myself, and the players would give like small feedback, and that became like a really big issue because then our drafts would kind of be on 2 different pages where like I had a feeling and they had a feeling. But now it's become a lot more together where we're reaching conclusions like as a team instead of, you know, very one-sided from my perspective. So I feel like the adaptation between the series is going to be a lot easier than it has been in the past, and I think that's probably been one of our biggest issues when it came to playoffs.
And then, of course, the second one is keeping your head cool in-game when it comes to those clutch moments. G2 is great at doing that. We've seen that. So are you guys confident enough, Febiven? Are you confident enough as a team when Prolly is not there, right, to make those decisions at the important moments?
Yeah, I would say personally, yeah. It's still really hard, obviously. Like, it really depends how the games go, I think, because sometimes you can get really affected, or I can get really affected by my plays. Depending on how I play, like if I play really well, I won't get affected at all, and I will play only better. But if I feel like I'm underperforming, then I will play worse. But obviously, I should be able to control this. So, yeah, that's the goal, obviously, and play as well as possible and keep my head cool. And we're gonna win this stuff.
Hey, Perkz, you heard it. Take trick and just go to that mid lane every second.
You will die.
This is planned talk. We've already set the trap.
We're going to move on in a second. I just want to bring up something that we talked about during the day, Prolly. You were saying how looking at a best of 5, it's kind of like if there's an Olympic athlete that's going to go to the Olympics, and don't get blindsided by the fact that, yes, you practiced for it for 4 years and it's make or break. Don't concentrate on the option of losing. Concentrate on the positive and the fact that you have to win it by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think Perkz kind of said that a bit in his interview, where at first he thought, like, you know, what happens if I get out in the quarters? And that's the kind of mentality that makes you, like, choke and fail decisions, because you're no longer thinking about, like, what the right thing is to do or how to win. You're kind of just working off of the fear emotion where you're, like, scared to do something, scared for something bad to happen. So this really, like, chokes you up and kind of prevents you from seeing clearly. So that was really good on him that he's able to kind of identify that and brush it off. And that's also, I mean, a thing we've been working on as well. And I think it really comes into play in these longer series where you really need a lot of endurance to make it through.
Yeah. Oh, I almost can't wait for that matchup. H2K G2 is going to be so good, as well as the other one. There's still a lot to be decided in the summer playoffs, and we will get the next fights in the semifinals, starting with Fnatic versus Misfits Gaming, Saturday, the 26th of August. So that would be the first one. Then you guys will play the day after, so at least you guys have had a lot of time already, but you'll get much more time to figure out G2. And I just also want to mention that the teams obviously are playing for championship point, which can prove to be crucial in a fight for a spot at Worlds, because yes, Unicorns of Love are out, but they can still make it to Worlds. They have the championship points to possibly work with, and they're definitely in the gauntlet. Any team that drops out is in the gauntlet. Splyce most likely will be heading, well, actually they will be heading there.
Yeah, so the first thing to note is that all of the playoff teams will be in the gauntlet, because this is the same lot of teams that were in the playoffs last split. No teams from anything can really come in or move away. The other important thing to note is because UOL are already out, the most number of points they can get, or the minimum number of points they can get, is 90. This is also the maximum. And for Splyce, unfortunately for them, is also 30. So they're going to be pretty low in the gauntlet, whereas UOL is still quite likely to be pretty high. But throughout the rest of the tournament, now we're in semifinals, points can be a big factor in terms of qualifying for Worlds. And if you see the spot of H2K, it's going to be very difficult for that team to go on points.
So for you guys, it's basically win the split or win the gauntlet.
I think we can't go on points, so we're already kind of preparing. Like, I mean, everyone we play now is going to either be in gauntlet or on our way to first place. So I'm actually a lot happier this split. I know it kind of sounds like a lie because the last 2 splits, H2K went on points, but I'm actually really excited to prove through like just defeating the team that split that we can go to Worlds instead of kind of defaulting because we've done well for a whole year.
Yeah, I kind of like that approach. And if you play phenomenally and still lose the final, you can also still like prove your worth through the gauntlet, right? And prove that you are the third team. Maybe quick, who would you like to see as Europe's representatives at Worlds?
Personally, I would love to see G2, Fnatic, and then Splyce.
We all make mistakes.
I want to see Quickshot right now.
No, the thing is I haven't seen H2K play yet, so I also haven't seen Fnatic play yet, but I think that right now G2 and Fnatic are a very safe bet, and if Misfits stay on the same trajectory they're on, they could be a good representative, but the safe also bet would be H2K.
Right, so you're changing it. Wait, I heard Misfits Splyce. And
right now, what I'm effectively saying is that I think it's too early to say. I want to see H2K play first, and next week's PGL, I will tell you who I want to see.
I think Febiven has been going to the gym, and you're afraid that he's sitting next to you, and he's going to grab you.
Febiven would never hurt me. We've bonded.
And you also go to the gym, to be fair.
We're now mid-lane rivals.
Right. Okay. So, Febiven, just quickly, who would be good representation, you think, from the way they have played so far or playing now at Worlds? H2K and?
Fnatic and G2.
G2, no surprises, I think, from you either.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, that was kind
Just
of a
follow
dud.
my...
What he said.
What he said. Okay, well, while the top teams in Europe are fighting for the championship, the stakes are completely different in the promotion tournament. Here's how the race for a spot in the EU LCS looks before the deciding week. We will be playing just on Thursday again, Thursday and Friday.
So we're guaranteed to have a return of either Schalke or Giants into the LCS, and either Mysterious Monkeys or Ninjas in Pyjamas will be knocked out. Because this is a double elimination, there will be one final matchup as well next Friday between the loser of Schalke and Giants and the winner of Mysterious Monkeys and NIP.
So we have a 2 best-of-5 day on Thursday, followed by that really, really exciting last chance match, so to say, on Friday. And let's also check out our matchups for next week, because there's a lot online for both teams. Oh, no, we already did that. I thought we were going to look at the semifinal matchups. But no, we're going to look at all the matchups. Fantastic. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all League of Legends all the time, with then our semifinals continuing on Saturday and Sunday, and also the last week in the studio before we all head to Paris and see what happens there. So yeah, interesting stuff. I'm quite happy with how the playoffs have gone so far, even though the Mysterious Monkeys was Misfits was a clear 3-0. Today was very exciting, and I hope we see more of that. Thank you guys very much for joining me all day. Very good analysis. And that was all here from us in the first week of playoff. Thank you all for watching as well. And join us next Saturday as the fight for the trophy continues with Fnatic versus Misfits Gaming. Have a great night.
But I'm flirting with Deficio.
He's good.
Camille with Wunder, dead. Baron is going low. Sven's moving and trying to get the crit. Elastic slingshot in. 2,000 hit points on Baron. The Cataclysm's already used. The final, it's stolen by Trick.
Hello! Who's that?
It's all gone to hell for Splyce.
And the rest of Splyce are pushing for the Nexus.
Oh, there's no way that Expect's going to be able to do this. And after 50 minutes of back and forth, Splyce draw first blood against G2.
That's what I call it, game 1.
Kobbe's gone in for Mithy. Not going to find the deadly flourish. Kobbe's reloading on Whisper, and G2 get 2.
Oh my god.
Oh, that reloading sucked for Kobbe. He didn't get the kill.
They get themselves a couple of kills. They get themselves a couple of turrets. And they're going to get themselves a win in the second game. The Nexus is falling, and G2 even the series 1-1.
And are you ready for game number 3?
No.
Shoes off? Shoes off. Yeah. Shoes off.
Oh, now we are. Now we are.
And I think he turns around and ends up getting that one last hit. Yeah, he actually turns around and then
one last shot.
Kind of
You guys have to make really.
What the fuck? I was trolling.
All of a sudden, G2 are winning the fight. For Kobbe and Wunder, they're in the midst of it all. Not gonna be enough. It's a double kill for Expect.
Nice! Holy shit.
And G2 win the fight a man down.
Oh, Sjokz, can you be more annoying in the late game?
The Winions are enlisted for G2 Esports, and the Nexus falls. G2 won. 1 and 2. Third connects through. The fourth does as well. A 3-man knockup.
What the fuck?
They've taken down Perkz. A defensive flash from Mithy. The tower dive from Splyce. And they get themselves 3.
Where's the shockwave?
Locks in 4. The shockwave deletes G2 Esports. Base is bashed. And Splyce, they force a game 5. Keep your eye on Zven and Perkz. Perkz is being run down by Sencux. He's down. Now Zven follows.
I'm dead.
I'm dead too.
You got them all. Nice.
Perkz is coming over the wall. He's managed to find Sencux. Sencux, the shockwave, catches 2, but he's shut down. Elder Dragon, stolen by G2 as well. They've got 3 dragons. All of a sudden, Splyce are being stomped. Nobody's dead yet. Cataclysm comes out. Blast Code sends Sencux away from the fight. Mithy is zoning him. That's a double kill for Expect. A triple kill for Expect. After a 5-game series, G2 yell their era is not over.